Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Power Leader podcast, the space where we confront the leadership gaps others avoid, elevate the standards others ignore, and build the kind of governance that actually protects people, organizations, and future. Today, I want to talk about something that is reshaping the global cybersecurity landscape, not as technical trend, but as a leadership mandate. Zero trust as a governance model for securing the software supply chain. This is not just a cybersecurity episode, but this is a leadership accountability episode. This is about the fiduciary duty to protect the systems we depend on, the people we serve, and the future we are building. Let's get into it. Do you know, for years, organization treated software procurement like a shopping. If a vendor had a glossary security page, a compliance badge, or a nice looking dashboard, leaders assumed the product was safe. But the world has changed. Threats have changed. And the speed of compromise has outpaced the speed of traditional governance. Today, the software supply chain is the new battlefield, and leaders who still treat it as a procurement checkbox are already behind. Zero trust reframes the entire conversation. It says trust is not a control, but trust is a vulnerability, and that shift changes everything. Zero trust is not a product. It is not a dashboard. It is not a feature you turn on. Zero trust is a governance model, a disciplined end-to-end operating system for how an organization makes decisions, verifies access, and manages risk. And it forces leaders to confront a truth many have avoided. You cannot outsource accountability. You can outsource services. You can outsource development. You can outsource infrastructure. But you cannot outsource responsibility for the security of your supply chain. Zero trust brings that responsibility back where it belongs, to the executive table. In a zero trust world, the supply chain is not a series of disconnected vendors. It is a continuous ecosystem that must be secured from initial design to development to integration to deployment to maintenance to end of life. This is end to end governance. It means leaders must have visibility into every stage of the life cycle, not just the moment a contract is signed. It means you don't just ask, is this vendor compliant? But you ask, how do they build? How do they test? How do they verify? How do they respond? Because a supply chain is only as strong as its weakest dependency. And in modern systems, that dependency might be a single open source library maintained by one volunteer. End-to-end security is not optional. It is the new baseline. Traditional governance relied on annual audits, point-in-time assessments, and compliance certification that expired the moment they were printed. Zero trust destroys that model. It replaces trust but verify with never trust. Always verify continuously. What does continuous verification means? Every identity, every service account, every API, every software component must be authenticated, authorized, and validated every time it interacts with your environment. This is not paranoia. This is maturity. Because attackers don't wait for your annual audit. They exploit the gap between your checks. Zero trust closes those gaps. One of the most dangerous illusions in modern leadership is the belief that dashboards equal security. Dashboards are not security. It is just the storytelling. Zero trust demands something different. Real-time telemetry that is actionable, not decorative. This means real-time logging, real-time detection, real-time correlation, real-time response. Because in the software supply chain, The difference between a minor incident and a catastrophic breach is often measured in minutes. So, leaders must be able to see what is happening as it happens, not after the damage is done. And that is the type of visibility leaders have to create, not the visibility of dashboard, but real-time visibility of what is happening. And that is not luxury. That is governance. In the old world, the perimeter was the network. But in the new world, the perimeter is identity. Every developer account, every machine identity, every CI/CD pipeline token, every service account embedded in a vendor's product. Identity is the new attack surface. Zero trust forces every leader to treat every identity, human or machine, as a potential point of compromise. This is not about distrust. This is about discipline because attackers don't break in anymore. They just log in. And if leaders don't understand identity governance, they don't understand modern security. One of the most important contribution Zero Trust makes is that it exposes strategy theater, the illusion of maturity without substances. Zero Trust forces leaders to stop performing strategy and start governing because the supply chain is not impressed by your PowerPoint slides or dashboards, but it responds only to your systems. This shift is not just happening in the United States. Globally, governments are raising the bar. Europe's NIS2 directive now mandates supply chain governance, enterprise-wide controls, executive accountability, measurable security outcomes. This is not suggestion. This is law. Zero trust is not about fear. It's about clarity. It's about discipline. It is about maturity. It is the recognition that leadership in the modern era requires more than vision. It requires verification. So, here is my challenge to every leader listening. Stop asking, do we have zero trust? But start asking, do we have the governance maturity to operate in a world where trust is vulnerability? Because the organizations that will thrive in the next decade is not the one with the pretty dashboards. They are the ones with the strongest discipline. This is the new frontier of leadership. This is the new standard of governance. And this is the work of a power leader. Thank you for joining me. This is the Power Leader podcast. Signing off, Dia.